Cherry's three. He's good.
Johnny Walker mashing up against control. His shot. Blue score. They score. They tie the game up 2-2.
Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Taya Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse. Wow. 5 seconds to go. Find Hawk. Hawk spins. It rolls on. And Arizona State wins it. Edwards pulls off. And buries the front.
Daniels takes the shot for Kirby.
Welcome into Friday's edition of Pitchfork Lunch. Yes, not 'twas the night before Christmas, but 'twas the Friday before Christmas as we get, you know what, it's Friday. I'm going backwards today. As we get set to go here on Pitchfork Lunch. I am Michael Caratenuto at Diablo00 on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. And that's where you can see the show. Also, Instagram Live, been doing it there. New feature as well. And you know it, Pitchfork Lunchers, the YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. You missed Canyon Floyd yesterday, ASU's new punter commit from Horizon High School. You know, not a bad pathway to take there, high school to college. But if you missed Canyon Floyd yesterday, guess what? Subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's at MVC005. M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 on YouTube. Go there, subscribe, because I tell you what, with that interview, and there's, again, coaches, other players, it's just, again, a smorgasbord, and it's awesome. So, yeah, you know what? It's not even about breaking my, what's that? Breaking your elbow to pat yourself on the back. No, it's not that. It's just all Sun Devil interviews. And yeah. And as the year comes to an end, hopefully working to get some more next week. Again, with break, it's a little bit challenging, but but yeah, it's all there. So go to the YouTube. I sound like, oh, what was that movie? The was it the internship where Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, he goes, I get on the line. Yeah, cheesy stuff that'll make you laugh. But nonetheless, go to YouTube at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 at MVC005 on YouTube. Subscribe. The shows are there. Again, you'll be able to, this holiday season while you're off, go back, watch a few, see the interviews, all that good stuff. So, and again, want to get involved, hit me up on X. Like I said, the artist formerly known as Twitter, at Diablo00. And you can see it all. And again, questions, thoughts, all that good stuff. Again, had great interviews. It was great getting to talk to Canyon yesterday. Although there's one question I did forget to ask him when we were talking about nuances of kicking. I had it down and I was like, oh, I didn't ask him that. But again, you go to YouTube, it is all there. We're going to talk a little hoops today. Obviously the men's team wrapped up non-conference play. I know I touched on it yesterday. A tough loss to Northwestern. It was not a pretty first half. Things did have to change the second half. We'll get to that, second half of the season, but conference play. Because right now there's one ranked team from the Pac-12 in the top 25, which I don't know. On the men's side. On the women's side, yeah, it's a good thing that the ASU women got that victory against Fresno State to get back on the winning track. again, forks up to that. Very, very stoked. And very stoked to see that. But yeah, hit me up with some comments. What maybe you thought too. But well, I'll talk about that. But the women got the win against Fresno State. Again, even though a player from Fresno State shot just about 70% from the 3-point arc, and Arizona, the game before, when they had that little 2-game slide, they lost to Arizona at home, and they shot 65% from 3. So cannot have that. Cannot have that. But again, they held on. And of course, the cool thing, the awesome thing from that, Jaden Simmons, Sun Devil guard, she passed the 1,000-point mark. So looking forward to catching up with her, working on catching up with her after Christmas. Just a little programming note. I'll mention it again later. Yes, everybody, I want everybody to have, hopefully everybody's having a great holiday season. Those that celebrated Hanukkah, hope it was very, very beautiful and great to celebrate with your families. Also, those celebrating Christmas, obviously. Hope you have a Merry Christmas. I will be with my family on Christmas. So no show on Christmas, but yeah, I'll be back on the 26th, so don't worry. And yeah, no show on Christmas. Maybe the 26th too, but I'll post. I'll let actually all know. But yeah, so no show Christmas. Hopefully everybody's enjoying the holidays with their family, and as it's God, I mean, it's just again, it always seems like it goes by like once Thanksgiving hits, it just seems like December rips by. And I know people say, "Oh, well, the more you have to do, that's why." But sorry, yeah. So but yeah, and we'll also talk yeah, so no show Christmas Monday, sorry. Looking at notes, no show Christmas on Monday, Tuesday, Monday or Tuesday. But nonetheless, we shall go from there. So that is where we are at. But yeah, hoops wise, like I said, it's one of those things that on the women's side, again, they get the win against Fresno State, 80-76. Jaden Simmons goes over 1,000 career points at ASU, which is just phenomenal. Can't wait to catch up with her and talk about that. Hockey, again, they are rocking. They are actually off. But they will be playing, like I said, the 29th and 30th, but we'll talk about that next week. They are headed to Lake Placid, New York. So the cool thing is hopefully you're getting to spend a little bit of the holidays with their family. And then they will go to Lake Placid the 29th and 30th. Playing that. I'm guessing they're going to also be flying back on New Year's Eve. So in the Adderall Classic in Lake Placid, New York. So that's just, again, absolutely awesome. And then they have the their classic, which they're hosting. And again, it'll be obviously with the Devils hosting, but Harvard's going to be here. UMass Lowell and Omaha are partaking in it. So ASU opens up with Harvard uh, on the 5th, and then on the 6th they will play, depending on who wins or loses, they will play either UMass Lowell or Omaha, and same goes for Harvard. So they'll either play UMass Lowell or Omaha, but UMass Lowell and Omaha open up against each other that Friday, and everything at Mullet Arena. So again, get out if you haven't had a chance, if you're going to be able to get out there, but get on out there and check it out, because this hockey team, again, Coach Powers, and they're just doing a solid job. Like I said, when you watch them play, yes, you want to play hockey with speed and energy, understandably, but how they're making adjustments. I mean, not even like in game, especially, but just playing a back-to-back, playing a team in 2 days in a row, kind of like playoff style NHL hockey. It's tough to do, but you see how the game adjustments go, and yeah, it's a team that's giving up a few goals, but I mean, they have splits with the number 2 team in the country and the number 9 team in the country. Yeah, that's not too bad. I mean, Denver, they did beat 6-5 in overtime, and you think, wow, well, college hockey, yeah, you're saying they're playing defense, but they are when you look at it, and they were able to beat Denver in overtime, and then they lost 8-4. So yeah, Denver, I mean, they still scored 4 goals. Yes, they gave up 8, but they scored 10 goals in 2 games. So yes, there's things to be worked on, but yeah, Coach Powers has his team going in the right direction. They're number 13 in the country. Get on out to Mullet Arena. Pitchfork Lunch fans, Sun Devil Nation, let's go. Yeah, and then obviously with approaching the end of the year, but when the calendar flips, obviously, and the spring semester gets started in a few weeks, guess what? Baseball and softball, beach volleyball will be coming in, track and field, obviously, wrestling. Yes, wrestling is again, Coach Jones, another alum of ASU. Love it. Love it. Love it. Golf as well. Talked about Coach Thurman. Obviously, he's was named the head coach for the I won't say juniors, but for the team, the U.S. team that's going to Ireland, is hoping he's it's July 5th through 7th. But again, we'll talk more about that. But again, calendar turns, like I said, golf, men's and women's golf, baseball, softball, track and field, wrestling. So yes, so much more to come on Pitchfork Lunch. Stay right here with us, and you shall get it all. But yeah, and then obviously, like I said, having Kenyon Floyd on yesterday, ASU's new signee at punter from Horizon High School. Early signing day. There's still another signing day in February, and believe me, there's a lot to come, which again is awesome. Is very awesome, and they did again, Coach Dillingham, he spoke yesterday on Tuesday. Pardon me. I'm going to try and have more of that. Hold on. Sorry. Had to sneeze real quick. Didn't want to do it on camera there. But nonetheless, Coach Dillingham talking yesterday, saying that, just all aspects of, the early signing and what they did. And I had asked him about Canyon, and again, I'll go through and have some of that coming up. But yeah, he, recruiting wise, look, they did a heck of a job. And Um, yeah, they did a hell of a job. I mean, when you look at what the at what the what they needed to do. I mean, transfer portal wise, and again, coach talked about it yesterday. I mean, he touched on it that yeah, I mean, it's and they're still busy. Roman Petrie, who is a edge rusher. Uh, Roman Petrie, he has been offered by ASU seemingly today. And then, yesterday I did forget to mention. I didn't forget, but the on signing day when we were talking about it, they Plas Johnson. I know I mentioned him, a kid, young athlete out of Chaparral. Um, cool fun fact about that. Obviously, like I said, he went to Chaparral High School, which he is the first scholarship addition by Coach Dillingham from Chaparral, which is his alma mater. Coach Dillingham haven't gone to Chaparral, so Plas Johnson, the first scholarship athlete out of there. And, he said a very interesting thing. He said a very interesting thing, and which I thought was, with the portal guys, and even with the, keeping local kids at home. And he just said, usually it's the second year because you come in right away and you don't have. I mean, obviously he was, at Oregon. Not that they weren't recruiting some kids out of here, but it's just you don't have the relationships fully with, the players and in recruiting. So he said usually it's the second year. So he said, for the 2025 class, it will be very that fans, will see it more. And again, I mean, there are quite a few that signed with ASU that are local kids. Like I mean, well, in-state kids, because young man from Bradshaw Mountain, young man from Bradshaw Mountain, obviously being up north, and well, yeah, just this is technically Flagstaff, nonetheless, up north, and uh but stayed here. And then like I said, Plas Johnson and Canyon Floyd, all local kids. Yes, they hit on quite a few, and in the transfer portal, and I thought that was a really interesting answer. And if you missed the interview with Canyon yesterday, again, you can go to YouTube, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and check it out. But you can check it out, but subscribe to the YouTube channel while you're there. But he brought up a great point when I asked him, with the transfer portal, not that players aren't going to do their due diligence, high school players, families aren't going to do their due diligence and take visits, but you're not just going to take a visit and commit right away because the number of scholarships. And he said, yeah, during COVID, he saw a lot of players go through that because with amount of scholarships, and they weren't being penalized, and it's extra years of eligibility. So, but he said, yeah, with COVID, you saw guys go through that. With the transfer portal, what it is, if you feel comfortable, you're not. And again, he wasn't saying you're trying to force. You're not going to force it. You can't, force a connection. If the like I said, if the chemistry, you feel, or the with the coach isn't there, the relationship with the coach, head coach, position coaches, your time on campus. Like, you're not going to force a decision or force like that. Cause yeah, you can jump back in the transfer portal and, you can kind of get like, all right, well, I thought this place was for me or this coach was for me, but it's not. So that being said, with transfer portals and the way high school kids are looking at it, if you feel it's a fit and they offer you, and granted, nothing, verbal is great. And I'm not, believe me, I've said this a million times. When I say that, people say, well, yeah, they committed. I'm like, they verbally committed. There is no ink to paper yet. And that's the thing. Cause you see every signing day, you see somebody, flip at the last minute. And until there's ink to paper. And look, I think that, how you want to recruit, and yes, you want a player. And yeah, if that player's having doubts, but if they saying they're committed, as a coach, I know I want this player. And I think, yes, two things. It shows that you want them, but at the same time, I mean, if you're constantly, they verbally, and you're still like, hey, come out. And then you see a guy, oh, so-and-so's committed. He's taking but he's taking a visit to this school and it's kind of late in the process. It's like, I get both sides. And look, if that player in any sport decides, you know what, maybe it's this for me, but yeah, I mean, you get the transfer portal. You get, if it's not, then you get your one transfer, and then obviously you can transfer as a grad. But all the stuff going on with the court, why Adam Miller is playing, has been able to play for the men's hoops team, which is absolutely huge. Big fan of that. Big fan of that. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where to look at it and just see, what players can do. But when guys flip in last minute, it's like, they've been happy. And some, and again, it depends on the person. Like, if they do, and, yes, you should always hear someone if you want, nothing wrong with hearing somebody out. And some players will be like, no, like, just don't reach out. Don't, and at that point, I'm guessing, coaches are respecting their wishes. But ASU, I mean, overall, look, did a heck of a job. And yeah, and I mean, another thing for Coach Dillingham, I mean, he preaches, and they preach honesty, and it says, you're going to come in and compete. And, on the exit interviews, he did he said to Jaden Rashada that he, was going to bring in a transfer QB. And Rashada told him, he said, I'm not scared of competition. So when the ASU, that was Rashada's, response. When Coach Dillingham wanted to bring in a quarterback transfer, which ended up being, Sam Levitt from Michigan State. And Levitt, again, both guys in the same class and have the same, amount of eligibility left. And, but yeah, Rashada, I mean, look, we saw last year, I mean, for ASU fans, it's his second year. Now it'll be his, second full off season too, because just think about it, Sun Devil fans, he was at spring ball last year, as you know. So he came in, he was able to participate in spring ball, obviously, and coach putting in the new offense, everything. He was able to participate in spring ball was Rashada. So now you're going through your, second full off season, and with this offense and the playbook and what he can work on. And obviously Sam Levitt will be here in the spring semester. So for spring ball, we'll start to see the competition, and then how it charges obviously into the summer, and then, next year for fall camp, but not fast forwarding. Still a lot of great sporting events to get to. But yeah, Rashada just saying, I'm not scared of competition. I found that very, and I didn't find it surprising at all. just having known, if you know a story, obviously the NIL deal that fell apart at Florida, and then, they had released him, so it wasn't, a transfer per se, but he ended up here at ASU. His dad played here at ASU, Harlan Rashada. So look, when you hear that again, it's not, and he posted the picture of, Kobe Bryant. And I mentioned that last week, the mama mentality. Rashada, you need that from you want that from a quarterback. You want it to be genuine from a quarterback. But yeah, seeing what Rashada was able to do, yeah, I mean, Rashada and Levitt were both top 20 QBs in the 2023 class. So, yeah, look, again, they hit the portal hard. I mean, Raleek Brown, and coach said yesterday, I mean, when he picked ASU, like he sees him as, a running back that can flex out in the slot. Now you have Brown, you have Scattaboo. Like that's yeah, and you have these weapons. It's very interesting to see too, because Xavier Guillory, who was again through camp, spring ball, fall camp, and then early in the season, there are times, and again, one ball, I get it, but I think you need to get the ball to him, just like they needed to get the ball to Elijah Badger as well. So, so yeah, and the coaching staff, I mean, they get a little bit of a reprieve ish, but yeah, once the calendar turns and New Year comes, and after that first week, it's still, now they'll get up to they'll obviously, like I said, was 7-on-7 yesterday, and I like Canyon. It's like, yeah, there's really, there's no tackling, but because I think you should play with your school team, and I think that makes sense, but there are 7-on-7 teams where it's more so like it's a club sport. They treat it like a club sport where obviously have players from anywhere. So, but overall, I digress to the recruiting. I mean, I love, but yeah, I mean, James Giggy, who like says out of the Prescott Valley. Yeah, Bradshaw Mountains in Prescott Valley. So apologies. Ramar Williams, by the way, I mentioned him. His uncle is former NFL wide receiver DJ Hackett, and obviously not a, obviously a father, uncle, but somebody to reach out to like that. That's been but I mean, overall, like I said, and Raleek Brown, I mean, running back, what you can do with him and how that opens up, how that will open up the field. And like coach, I always talk about creating that mismatch, creating opportunities. Yes, you want, numbers on one side, but what can you do? And obviously, knock on wood, staying healthy. So, and he did also say yesterday, they're still a little bit to finalize it, but there might be 8 to 9 that are graduating early, and they'll be enrolled in ASU in the spring. So they'll be for the spring semester, they'll be at spring ball. But he said just wasn't given a set number, said possibly could be 8 or 9, but we'll have to see. So very stoked about that. But I'm going to step aside real quick. When I get back, we're going to jump back into hoops, and we'll review not a little bit, the men's and women's non-conference play, obviously what they've done to this point, yes, it has been a little bit of a roller coaster for the men's team, to say the least. And the women's team, again, just kind of starting to hit that stride. And again, 6 ranked teams in the top 25. Half the conference is ranked in the Pac-12 on the women's side. It is going to be an insanely awesome year on the women's side. And the men's side too, don't get me wrong. I'm just saying, like, when you have that many teams ranked, they're going to just be phenomenal games all the time. So yeah, I'll step aside. We'll talk hoops on the other side. Don't go too far. More coming here on Pitchfork Lunch. All right, back here on Pitchfork Lunch. I am Michael Carrottenuto at Diablo00 on X, the artist formerly known as Twitter. You can find me there, the show, also IG Live and YouTube. If you go to my, you can go to my YouTube channel and subscribe to the channel. Subscribe to the channel. Again, shows are all up there. Go back and see the awesome interviews you missed. There are going to be awesome interviews to come. And if you can't join live, which it bums me out a little bit, but again, that's why I have it. That's why I archive them. So you can check them out when you can. But if you can, spend a lunch with me every day, Monday through Friday, absolutely love it. Absolutely would love it. But yes, you can go to the YouTube channel at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005 at MVC005 on YouTube, and subscribe. And yeah, so look, men's hoops finished. Yeah, just real quick before we get to men's hoops, just want to put a who is ASU who signed and brought in so far. So Rodney Bemesh Jr., defensive back, signed, and then we'll do defense side of the ball. So Rodney Bemesh Jr. is defensive back. Jordan Crook is a linebacker transfer. JP Dieter, D-line transfer from Purdue. Linebacker Martell Hughes. Also defense. Well, they have him as a defensive back. Plas Johnson, again, as an athlete, wouldn't be surprised if he's back. Maybe in the mix to return kicks and/or punts. We shall see. But they definitely want him as a defensive back, which not surprised. A little bit. I saw Chaparral play the last 2 seasons. Not surprised at all. Also, another defensive back, Chris Johnson II, who will be here. He's again said he was enrolling early, so looks like he will be here early. but another defensive back in Chris Johnson. Celesi Manu, another defensive lineman as well. Defensive back Tony Lewis Nkuba. Defensive end Albert Smith III. Ramar Williams, like I said. Another defensive lineman, Justin Woodley, who's the transfer from Cincinnati. And then Laterence Welch, the defensive back from LSU. And again, a big fan of getting that experience, of course, in the secondary. And of course, as now they head to the Big 12, which still just seems like vinegar to say. And it's not that I don't like the Big 12. It's just, seems like vinegar to say. But anyway, Laterence Welch out of USC. Javen Robinson, once they had a Washington State, another defensive back. And linebacker Zyrus Fiasu. And so that covers the defense. Offensively, so now on the offensive side of the ball, the Devils have brought in Issei Matautia. Also running back Raleek Brown. I mentioned, Coach again has him as a running back. He can play in the slot. I mean, even if he had a lineup outside, I'm guessing he could too. But Raleek Brown, and then Joey Sua, another offensive lineman transfer from Arkansas, and then Cameron Harpool, tight end transfer. Also Marcuston Douglas, another tight end transfer. Philly Va'a Saluni, he goes by Suka. Saluni, an offensive lineman. Again, they needed to address that. And then Champ Westbrooks as well, kid out of Los Angeles. Samisi Tonga, again, offensive lineman. Wide receiver, Zachariah Sample. And then Sam Levitt, quarterback, obviously transfer from Michigan State. Terrell Kim, another offensive lineman who again, it was kind of one of those. He decided, he kind of towards the end flipped to ASU, and the Devils get a big offensive lineman in Terrell Kim, building that depth. And then, James Giggy is listed as an athlete, so it'll be interesting to see where. I want to see. I mean, I know he did play some. I think he played some linebacker. So, but we'll see. But and then Jaden Fortier out of Oregon, again, the number one tight end in the state of Oregon, and ranked the number one player. They got the number one and number 5 player in Fortier and Kim to come to Tempe. So, and then I mentioned, not offense, but Kenyon Floyd, punter, very, very stoked about that. And Jason Brown Jr., who was named selected a Max Preps All-American. So very, very huge honor, very, very big honor there. So yes, that is where they were in recruiting. So I just wanted to recap it. But men's hoops, okay. So non-conference play came to an end, and the Devils are 6-5 now. As they head, like I said, into Pac-12 play. But, I mean, it's a team that, look, the good news is they're undefeated at home. The bad news is shooting hasn't been there, and played, we had, played Frankie Collins, and actually, heard Frankie Collins and Coach Hurley talking yesterday about obviously what happened in the game, but Frankie Collins, just he said the mental team, mentally it's not tough. He goes, how do we react when we get punched in the mouth? And, they need to be consistent. Yes, there's going to be highs and lows to pretty much mostly every game. You're not, a game you win, you're not going to go through very rarely. I shouldn't say not. Very rarely pitchfork lunchers, as you're going to go through a basketball game, wire to wire with the lead, it being smooth. There's going to be, peaks and valleys. You're going to have some lulls in the game, but lows in the game, pardon me. But I mean, they're 6-5. Very tough. They're 5-0 at home. They have lost 3 straight. That's the tough part. Got to shake that. They're 0-1 away, which they, again, very easily and should be 1-0 away. But they're also 1-4 on neutral site games. Just to recap the schedule real quick, they opened up the Barstool Invitational in Chicago. They lost to Mississippi State 71-56. They came home, turned around, came home, and then beat Texas Southern 63-52, and then they beat UMass Lowell 71-69. Frankie Collins again had that very late shot, last second shot, driving in to get the victory. But again, over a tough UMass Lowell team, but they do get the victory 71-69. Then they go to the Vegas showdown and they get absolutely just blasted, as we've talked about, by BYU 77-49. I mean, offense, shots really not dropping. To overstate the obvious, but defensively, I mean, couldn't really force pressure. And then BYU was sinking it from 3 or wherever they were open from. They were getting the job done, rebounding. But then they turn around the next day in Vegas, this was over Thanksgiving, and beat Vanderbilt 82-67. Huge win. Then they come home and they beat Sam Houston 78-61. Then they beat San Francisco 72-61, and then beat SMU 76-74. So yeah, I mean, to start the season, you lose 1, you win 2, you lose 1, and then you win 4 in a row. And after they beat SMU again, 76-74, there's a late 3 hit, which of course only affected the people that on the bad beats there. And then, like I said, they go to San Diego, they play the Toreros, USD, and they lose 89-84 when they had the lead at half, and the lead, well into the second half. So, they, in the second half against USD, which shout out to Sun Devil, who's, living in that neck of the woods. My buddy Nick. Have you met my friend Nick? You'll meet my friend Nick. Don't worry about it. But he was at the game, and he, 89-84 was the final. But ASU, heading into the second half, had, the lead, and they just, USD had a late response, and they get the win, and then a week later, so a little bit of time again to get ready for TCU, a team that they, lost to on a last-second shot in the first round of the tournament last year. And they're up 23-9. Things are looking good. Then TCU starts to make some plays. ASU shots not going down, and then maybe settling for a few, but TCU ends up winning by 20. I mean, just think, it was 23-9. So they outscored them 70 to they outscored them 70-36 the rest of the game. I mean, look, you can say underachieving, guys aren't performing. That's the tough part. So yeah, and then you come back and you get off to a slow start. Another team is there. So yes, shots not going down. There were wide open shots, and you could hear, Coach Hurley saying, we're not going to get a ton of wide open shots going forward. If we do, I know they're going down. We'll see if he's maybe shakes up the starting lineup. I mean, the team had 3 days off, 3-4 days off. They'll be back because they play on the 29th. So I'm guessing they'll be back on Tuesday, the 26th. But yeah, they're at Stanford and at Cal. They open up the final season of Pac-12 play as we know it. Yes, I'll hold back my holiday tears on that one. But yeah, in the Bay Area, taking on the Cardinal and the Golden Bears. So that is Friday the 29th. Again, I'll talk about it before that, but 9 p.m. locally. And then Sunday, the New Year's Eve, the 31st, they will be playing at 6 o'clock locally, in Berkeley, taking on the Bears. So, yeah, that's what it starts. But look, I mean, to wrap it up, yes, there have been spots, but the shooting needs to be more consistent offensively. And it doesn't seem like there's a disconnect between, like I said, we all know Jose Perez came in late, right? I mean, he was a transfer that came in late. And Jose Perez came in late, but again, he hasn't, there's a apt of, getting to know and getting set to know and everything, your teammates and, obviously within the offense and what they're doing, where they like the ball, where they need to be. So you can't force chemistry. You kind of force your way into the offense, but hasn't really forced his way in. It's an extension. I think him and Frankie Collins in the backcourt playing well together. That's something to build on. But yeah, again, shot selection, like Coach Hurley said after the Vegas showdown, getting shots within the flow of the offense, making the good basketball play, the extra pass, or, taking your shot, or taking the shot. But yeah, I mean, they just, again, get a few days off, holidays, enjoy, recharge, and get back at it. But the key is, I mean, everybody says, obviously basketball, the open shots have to go down. Contested shots, people are going to understand. But when you have open space, you need to hit these shots. And within Pac-12 play, and I mean, seeing Arizona the other night too at the Jerry Colangelo Hall of Fame series at the Footprint Center, I'm telling you, like Arizona, yes, your players are different, but the flow, the pace, yes, a guy can ISO and take it to the hoop, but they're moving the ball. They're not just playing, quote unquote hero ISO ball. Not saying that ASU is, but I'm saying flow, pace, like Coach Hurley was talking about, moving the ball, getting movement, making a team work. And then defensively, I mean, that's that in 9 seasons under Bobby Hurley, even when they had a completely, short, almost non-existent bench, and when, back when, the guard you started, it was one of those things where defense was still a staple guy. And I'm not saying they're taking time off, but like the offensive inefficiency leading to defense inefficiency. Because again, teams are getting out. If they're getting out in transition, again, you can't, obviously tough to pressure, as we know, just things I've seen. But yeah, I mean, look, that, that second, I wouldn't even say that USD game, ugly, but the second, the last I'd say last 5 minutes of the first half against 5-7 minutes of the first half against ECU and the first half against Northwestern. I mean, that's just ugly. That's ugly. And another team is causing that, but some of it they're not capitalizing on. And that's what, like Coach said, he's going to fight. And I do not disagree with it. Also, women's hoop side, again, shout out to Jaden Simmons, 1,000 points in her Sun Devil career. Her dad, Jason, who played football at ASU also, and he is coaching with the Raiders right now. But Jaden Simmons passed the 1,000 point career total as a Sun Devil, and it's just absolutely awesome. Just so stoked for her again. I mean, coming in here and then starting obviously with Charlie Turner Thorne, and coming in and just you saw that. I'm like, okay, she has it, but now with under with obviously Natasha Adair taking over, it's one of those things where and I mean, their last game alone, but coach, again, had to deal with the injuries last year, transfer portal and injuries, and it was a mess. But 5 players in double figures in their last game. That is how, again, building up momentum as they are 8-4. Gotta love it. 8-4 overall are the Lady Devils, and they are 0-1 in conference play. Yes, tough loss to that team down south, like I said. But I wouldn't call them that team down south because Arizona shot 65% from 3. When you shoot 65% from 3, guess what? You're going to win a lot of games. But yeah, it was just that was tough. But they are 5-2 at home. Lost to Grand Canyon and in-state rivals, Grand Canyon and Arizona. They're 0-1 away, and then 3-1 on a neutral site, which is good to see. But again, 5-2 at home, you'll take that. Again, they were 2 home losses back-to-back to GCU and to Arizona. But look, they get the 4-point victory over Fresno State. But yeah, to recap their games real quick, they opened up. They beat UTSA 70-55. Then they turned around and beat Montana State 75-62. They outscored San Francisco 77-69. Then they lost to Grambling on the road. Try to come back again. That was a tough one. But in the Pac-12 SWAC Legacy Series, which of course now is going away. But they lost to Grambling State 70-67. Turned around, beat Idaho State, 72-40, and then went to the Virgin Islands Paradise Jam. And yeah, the first day they may have felt like they were I don't know, first day of camp. No, Texas is a really good team, and Texas also beat Arizona. But yeah, they lost to Texas on Thanksgiving 84-42. And then they turned around and beat South Florida 66-49, and then beat High Point 77-69. Came back and had the Brianne January Classic where they were only to play one of the 2 games. They beat Pacific 76-66. Unfortunately, the game against Xavier got canceled because Xavier did not have enough healthy players, which, again, we haven't heard that since obviously the COVID season. We heard a lot then and not too often since. But, yeah, that sucks. That is a definite bummer. But they couldn't play Xavier. And then they played Grand Canyon. And they lost 66-59. That was tough. And then lost to Arizona, like I said, 91-52, but turned around and beat Fresno State 80-76. Now they have one more conference game on the 30th. They're taking on Santa Clara at 1:00 at Desert Financial Arena. So if you're around on December 30th, hey, feel free to head on out to Desert Financial and go to the game as they take on Santa Clara. So that is that's where they are. And then they start conference play at home after the new year. The 5th and the 7th, the mountain schools are here. So Utah up first, and Colorado up after that. So yes, and the march against the ranked opponents start. So yeah, it'll be very, very interesting. But yeah, 8-4, and their coach, they talked about it. I mean, not that they have been bringing it, they got to bring it every night. Because in this conference game, where chances are whoever you're paired with that week, you possibly see one ranked team in the top 25. So I'm excited for this Pac-12 season. Yeah, I was I'm excited for the Pac-12 season on both sides. Men have work to do. The women, again, you pull off a few of these wins, and look, if you end up close to 500, and it's not even about selling it, it's not even coach speak. On the men's side, I mean, look, I think more teams will forge their way to the top 25 outside of Arizona, who will, chances are, stay up there because they are going to be very tough to derail. I will say that. But on the women's side, you get to around 500 and you can call it coach speak or saying, oh, you always say there's no best conference. Top to bottom, it's going to be insane. So you get to 500, 1 over 5, 2 over 500, you're definitely a tournament team. And yeah, we'll see what you do in the Pac-12 tournament. You know, even if you're, say, a game or two below 500 in conference play, depending how you do in the Pac-12 tournament on the women's side, like it's going to be an awesome season there. On the men's side, like I said, Arizona, as we know, they I don't see them, Tommy Lloyd, having them fall off a cliff or anything like that. So on the men's side, like I said, I feel a few more teams are going to forge their way into the top 25, but getting wins, getting big road wins, defending your home court, that's what the Devils are looking at. And they have defended their home court, which is good. On the men's side, 5-0. So, great tweet from one of the sports information, sports information guys, Zach Wargo from ASU, because today's the 22nd. So we'll end it on this, by the way. It is, he says, happy anniversary, but 10/22 or 12/22/18, in which I was there for that too. Number 18, ASU never led until a 10-0 run in the final 2 minutes, took the lead for good. And for the second time in 2 years, ASU upset Kansas. Yeah, that's right, Kansas. And we're coming to the Big 12. You remember coming to Tempe. Yeah, remember that. Kansas, who was number 1 in 2018 and number 2, they were number 1 at the time when we did it here. They were number 2 in 17 when we did it up in Kansas. 80-76 in Tempe, the first ever number 1 upset in Tempe. 14,592, third largest crowd ever. Yeah. That was on this date in 2018. So it's the 5-year anniversary. Hey, that's what the Devils need. And we're going to need some of that energy, some of that mojo. Yeah, that's awesome. But yeah, it's like I said, so we'll leave it on that on a happy note. But everybody, look, everybody have a safe and enjoyable and fun, festive Christmas with your families, enjoying this holiday season. And for those that celebrate Festivus, for the rest of us, got to do that for my sister. Not that she celebrates Festivus, but, you know, Seinfeld. Got to love it. Nonetheless, enjoy the holidays. Thank you so much again for checking out. Again, one last time, you can follow me on X at Diablo00, the artist formerly known as Twitter, Facebook as well, IG, Michael.Caratanudo.5 on IG. We also do the show on IG Live. And yeah, so I hope everybody, again, if you're in the midst of getting the last minute shopping done, all that fun stuff, but enjoy the festive time with your family. So yes, do that. And then also, lastly, YouTube at M as in Michael, V as in Victory, C as in Cat 005, at MVC005 on YouTube. Go to the channel, subscribe to it, check out the shows, but subscribe. And you can see all the shows, share them, again, watch them, binge it, have a good time with it. But yeah, that'll do it. So everybody have, again, a very Merry Christmas. And yeah, any thoughts over Christmas? See some games, bowl games going on. Obviously, it is bowl season. Pac-12 is 0-1 so far, or 1-1 so far. Sorry, 1-1. And some big ones coming up. And I will give, predictions on that next week, especially on the playoff, on the final. And I'm sure I'm guessing I might shock some of you with some of my picks. Who knows? We'll see. But nonetheless, yeah, we will go from there. So have a great Christmas. Once again, enjoy it. I will not be on Monday, but I will see you again on Tuesday. Enjoy the holidays. And yes, Pitchfork Lunchers, you know it. As always, forks up.
His shot. Bruce score, they score. They tie the game up 2-2.
Some drives out for Robbie Ryan. Her three right on the money. This is Taya Hansen for three. Other side of the rim with a pretty reverse. Wow. 5 seconds to go. Find Hawk. Hawk spins. It rolls on. And Arizona State wins it. Edwards pulls off. And buries the block.
Daniels takes the shot.